Hello, Rockstars. Welcome to your October team Zoom. This is Trina Gray coming at you from Alpena, Michigan, where some people say in my office right here where the magic happens. We just had the Rockstar Retreat, and I had tons of people get to hang out and chill out in my office and realize it's just like anybody else's home office. And I have with me, I'm so excited for you to meet and love my guest speaker today, who is Allie Marshall. Allie, hello. Let me tell you a little bit about Allie, and then we're going to dive in. We have had a chance to do some talking this morning, and I've read over all of her interview questions. I fell in love with this girl, and I want you to as well, because her story is powerful, her energy is amazing, and she is a doer, and she's going to show you that this business doesn't have to be so complicated. So whether you are a brand new coach who just signed up, or you've been in this business for 5 years, I promise you, you're going to take nuggets away from Allie Marshall. So Allie is a mom of 2 girls. She lives in Georgia. She's married to her husband, Ron. She works full-time in the agriculture industry, and she has a baby on the way. She is a diamond level coach, and on her way by Summit next year would love to be a 2-star diamond. So Allie, welcome.
Hey, so glad to be here today.
You look stunning and beautiful, and no one would guess that you were nauseous last night or that you were anything other than feeling amazing right now.
I know. We'll just pretend. I feel fantastic right now. I'm excited, high on adrenaline.
Awesome. Well, you earned this. Totally, you earned this interview. So let me just give you the quick background. I know of Allie. She is a coach on Team Rockstar Fit, sponsored by my coach Greer and Greer Craig, also in Georgia. And we'll hear a little bit about why Allie joined. But I really hadn't gotten a chance to get to know Allie myself until she was here for the Rockstar Retreat that we hosted in Alpena last weekend. And this girl's energy and smile just lit up the tent that I met her in. And I knew a couple days later, when I was thinking about this team Zoom, that this is who I wanted to interview, that there's something special about this girl that I wanted other people to see. So Allie, take us back in time a little bit. Let's just give us the quick, because we have so much to get into, give us a quick version of kind of where you grew up and, you know, what you studied, where you went to college, kind of like who is Allie from childhood?
For sure. Well, I grew up in a small town in North Georgia. My parents were both teachers, so we lived a pretty simple life. I went from there and I went to the University of Georgia, which wasn't far away, but it's like the university here. So that's where you got to go. I ended up majoring in agriculture. That's what my dad had done in high school, and I loved it. I loved the school, and that's where it took me. I got a job right from there working in the crop insurance industry. Went straight to a management level position. I had like 65 people under me, and I was fully immersed into the world of being a boss in a big company. I traveled. It was a great job. I mean, it was a wonderful, thing, I thought. Well, then I met my husband, and he lived about 2 hours away, and we're like, we can totally do this. I got this. So we got married. We never lived together, basically, for our first 2 years of marriage. And then I was pregnant. I was going to have Anna Lee, my first daughter, and I said, I can keep traveling. I can do it all. I had her, and I held her, and I said, no. I said, there's no stress of work worth missing out on her life. So I quit my job. It was a $100,000 job with much potential to grow. I lost a company car, insurance, all that I had known. And I went from being a professional to a stay-at-home mom with no job. It was a big change for me. We still needed some money. So I went back and I found a job, but I was only working part-time. So for the next 2 years, I was making between $20,000 and $30,000 a year. But I still had the mindset of a $100,000 budget because that's what I had been living. Not good either. Ask my husband. And so from there, I realized I got down. I spent money. I felt down on myself. I gained weight. I had gained weight with the girls. And so by the time I had my second daughter, Adeline, I was actually like hitting 160, about 40 pounds overweight, 30 or 40 pounds overweight. And I was just pretty miserable. I was pretty miserable and lost after I had her. And that's where I was.
Yeah. Okay. So let's pause for a second. Holy cow. So here's a girl, valedictorian of her high school. Mm-hmm. Pretty smart girl. Graduated with honors, magna cum laude, something like that from college. Correct? Yeah.
Almost 4.0.
4.0. Okay. That's awesome. All right. So she's an achiever, right? And so there's some people on the Zoom right now. I want you to think about this. I've interviewed other people who did not grow up achievers, who no one ever felt they would be an achiever. I can think of two people off the top of my head, Jody Redfern and Shelly Gonzalez, who I interviewed, who said that no one would have believed that I'd be successful, right? So listen, success comes from all places. Here's Allie, who has a history of success. And then what happens? She's got this great job, car, insurance, living the life, and something changes in life. And she has a baby and she realizes that like, wow, I can't trade a 4-hour commute and money and company car for a life.
And that's tough because people expect a successful person to always be that way. They never expect you to step back. You can't have a break. You always have to be perfect. Like that's the difference. Like it comes from both ways. So when you've always done things right, people expect that constantly and if you drop a little bit, you feel like you're getting judged. Like you don't feel like you have any space to be yourself really, or have a mistake or change your mind. And that's the other end of it. That's the flip side of the coin.
That's exactly, I mean, yeah. Allie, that's just so right that no matter what place you came from, the place of not having an expectation of success or having the strong expectation of success, it all comes with baggage.
Yeah.
It all comes with baggage. So for you to make that tough decision to stay home with the girls not only led to financial issues in the family in terms of like not changing your spending habits to match your new, much smaller budget, right? Okay. It also led to you not feeling your best as a mom. Let's talk about, that's a perfect entree to how did you first get introduced to Beachbody and Team Rockstar Fit? Kind of what place were you in life and what happened?
Well, for sure. So after I had Adeline, I went to my first race. I was like, I guess almost 12 weeks postpartum. It was Labor Day weekend. And I took a picture with my best friend. And I looked at that picture before the race and I didn't recognize the girl in the picture. I had no idea. My arms, my face, like my eyes. I mean, it wasn't me. And the whole time I ran those 3.1 miles, which I struggled at 160 pounds, all I could see was that picture. Like, who was that person? Like, what had I become? So if I didn't feel bad enough already, that took me into another slump pretty much through the fall. And then the first week of November, I got an email blast from Greer Hawkins at that time. She wasn't married. And I knew about her through town. She ran boot camps and everybody loved her. They said she was great. But she's talked about this 4-day group she was going to be running online, so I didn't have to go anywhere and, be fat around people or miserable. And that was awesome. And she talked about this Shakeology thing. It's like a drink, all this for $20. I'm like, at this point, I'll do anything for $20. So I signed up right away and I jumped in her 4-day group. I drank my shakes. I did her exercises. I soaked up her motivation, and I lost 5 pounds in that 4 days. And I was hooked. I was like, this is the life that I want. So from there, I ordered me my T25 challenge pack with my Shakeology. And I went hardcore into it. And so by the time I talked to Greer in January about being a coach again, she'd asked me like 3 times at this point. I said, fine, I said, whatever, I'll do it for the discount. I'm staying on the Shakeology stuff. I'm losing weight. I'm down 15 pounds. I'll do it. And that's how I became part of Team Rockstar Fit as only a discount coach. And I had zero intentions. I mean, who would want to follow me? I was like an overweight mom. I had never exercised. I had 3 knee surgeries, so I never ran. I mean, like I didn't exercise. I didn't run. I had never played sports. I can't hardly walk in a straight line. Why would anybody want to be in a group of mine? So I was a discount coach for sure. That was my plan.
Hold on. Back it up. I like you, Allie. All right. So listen, people have that aha moment. People sometimes have to hit a bottom of some kind of bottom in their life. So for you, when I was looking at your notes, you said, you had sometime in college gotten down to like 119 pounds, felt really good. You were happy with yourself, got married, you were around 146, and then you ate and drank and enjoyed just kind of going out. You said someone loved me, so it didn't really matter. However, it did eventually start to matter to you. You have 2 girls, you gain weight, and you're up at 160 pounds. Yeah. So I just want people to see the progression of 160 pounds postpartum doing a race when you're used to being in the body of a 120-pound girl, right? And what that felt like emotionally and physically felt like to you to do that race. So what if, I just want to put out there, what if people, there weren't coaches like you, there weren't coaches like Greer who asked people to do a 4-day.
Yeah.
We always think like, I just don't want to dismiss the value of what coaches think is just, it's a $20 challenge. It's 4 days. 4 days. I think you could honestly say, because Allie was ready and dove in, Greer's 4-day invitation changed the trajectory of your life.
Mine and tons of other people's. My children's lives are different. My husband has a different wife. Hundreds of challengers that have gone through my groups. It is life-changing. And I did not even know Greer. I had never met her ever. So it doesn't feel like you have to talk to somebody forever. It doesn't need to be somebody that you see every day. Like, it can be anybody. Like, there's no reason to be feared, because if Greer hadn't sent that email, I wouldn't be here today. And I would still be that sad 160-pound mom who was a terrible wife and mother.
That's so compelling. And I want people to really have to think about how many people I feel like I've interviewed, Jen Cadzillo, you and others, who got invited through one short challenge. Right? One short challenge. And Lindsay Thompson, who signed up to get a discount because her husband wanted Shakeology and she didn't want to pay full price, right? Like, thinking about the reasons people join. And Allie, the reason why I want to sit on this for a second is that one of the most common questions I get as a coach is people say, how do you attract business builders? You don't. You can't always attract. There's not a lot of people walking around town saying, I want to make, money in network marketing, sign me up, right? It's like, whose life can you touch? Can you change? Can you impact to the point where they want to be a part of your mission? Yeah. That should be the question.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You need to look at people and say, every person you need to look at and say, how can I help them? What can I do to help make their life a little better today?
Absolutely. I also love that you said, I just want to point this out, that Greer, who I love and is, shyer, I'm going to say a little bit shyer about this business. And I don't think she'd mind me saying that, so for Greer, I almost, my heart sunk when you said that she asked you 3 times. Just that, how much she worked to ask you, and I remember her telling me about you in her groups and how I've got this like shining star in my group and she's posting left and right. And now it's funny to know that was you. But just the guts it took her to ask you, and she still asked you 3 times and you said no, right? That coaches, we give up on somebody. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. That person said no. Like, well, she stuck with you. She saw something in you.
Yeah. And what's even better, so I finally signed up as a coach, as a discount coach, but Greer came back still after that and told me, you should really try this Rock the Basics thing. Like, she could have just said, Allie's a discount coach. That's how I'm calling her. And she didn't. She kept coming back and checking in with me regularly. That's like, don't discount your discount coaches right there, for sure.
Ooh, good line. Don't discount your discount coaches, because here's a girl that said no 3 times, signs up, says, I just want the discount. I have a full-time job and 2 girls. You weren't looking for more on your plate. Right. Got in Rock the Basics. Who did you meet in Rock the Basics that kind of like showed you who you could be?
Yeah. Crystal Boyle was my Zoom leader on Rock the Basics, and she changed everything for me. She has 3 little boys in the time that I had 2, and she was rocking it out still. Like, she had 3 little boys. I think at that time they were under 3 and under, and she was killing it. She was doing these Zooms. She was leading her challenge groups, and like, I could see myself in her. She was just a mom just like me, and she was there, and she was inspiring me. And I'll never, ever forget that. That was the best. That was the game changer.
Okay. So that's awesome that you said that. So coaches, I want you to think about, if you are stuck, if you have a coach who's stuck, raise your hand. We all do. If you're stuck or you have a coach who's stuck, one of the best ways to get somebody unstuck, I just said this at my house to somebody a few days ago at the retreat. I said it to Anna Renderer and I were talking about this. Keep putting success in front of people. Keep putting success in front of people. You never know what's going to light the bulb. So the fact that you got on a Zoom and met someone that you related to, that you wanted to aspire maybe to be like, was what motivated you to take action. It wasn't necessarily a to-do list. It was seeing somebody that you admired. And so coaches, you have to keep putting national wake-up calls that you think relate to your coaches. Put them in front of them and say, this girl's story sounded like you. Or bring them on a team Zoom like this and say, I think that you'd really connect with Allie. Will you listen to her story? Allie, you were going to change somebody's business. You know that. This Zoom right now, you're going to meet someone at Summit next year in Nashville. they're going to come up to you and say, Allie, everything changed when I listened to your Zoom.
And that's what we're here for as coaches. Like, and I think I said to you before, Trina, seeing people change, and that's more important than any money that I could ever make, because I know how deep of a bad spot I was in. And if anybody can get out of that spot and get to feeling as good as I do today, then my job was done. Like, that's what it's about every day. Like, that means so much more to me. So I hope that's what happens for sure.
And that comes from your heart, and you can so see that you're so genuine. So I have this question for you that, so you joined for a discount. You decided to get involved in a little bit more in depth. What was your husband's initial reaction to you? Like, full-time, trying to work from home, have 2 kids, he works, and all of a sudden you've got this new business. How did that go?
Not so hot. I mean, Addie at this point's like 9 months old. That's that horrible age if you're a mom where they start getting into stuff. They don't have a good schedule. They've got teeth coming in. Life is miserable, like bad. And so that's what we had going on. And Ron, I was like spending hours at night because when you first start, it's tough. Like, you got to learn a lot and dig in a bunch. You've got rock the basics and challenge groups. So I was gone all the time, and he was very upset with it. He's like, where are you doing? Why are you doing this? And I finally got the idea to put him in my challenge group, because he didn't know what I was doing. Like, he didn't get it. Like, I can't explain what a challenge group is to somebody. I mean, we know how hard it is to explain it to somebody we want in a group, much less tell your husband. So I put him in my challenge group, and that was a game changer. Like, he saw what I did. Like, he heard the girls' testimonies. Like, when they came on there and said, Allie, this changed my life. I've lost 5 pounds. I've never felt this good. Or today I didn't have a cupcake, and I know I'm going to be able to make a difference. Or I was able to run down the block with my daughter today. When he heard those things, he realized that what I was doing was worth it. And it was worth giving of my time to help others.
That's so awesome. What a great idea. Couple things to take from that, you guys. If you want to avoid maybe a little bit of the friction that Allie felt, and a lot of coaches feel, what if from the very beginning that you dive into this, you bring your spouse, your partner, your significant other on board, not necessarily on board the business, but on board what you're doing. And you carve out time to explain what you learned in Rock the Basics and say, hey, I know it must be funny that I'm living on the computer. Can I tell you that tonight I listened to a call about my roles in life? Or tonight I listened to a call from a woman who went from this to this. Like, just taking the initiative to connect, talk, and share about what you're learning, so your significant other or family doesn't feel like, where did Allie go? And what is this kind of new thing she has? There's some jealousy, there's some fear to that, right?
Mm-hmm. I think for sure. And since then, I put him on my team page, so he sees what I'm posting every day. So he sees what my team's doing, what's going on with that. And then I think figuring out what his role in my business would be was important. Like, he's not going to run challenge groups. That's not his kind of thing at this point in life, but he's an accountant. So he loves the numbers. So he's my back office guru. Like, he knows where everything is. He knows how everybody's doing, and he checks up on that stuff for me. And that was his part in the business. So we had that to talk about. He was my businessman. And so finding whatever your spouse's role is, whether it is doing the exercises with you or being in photos or however it is, I think letting them find their spot makes a big difference. So they feel included. It needs to be a family thing, because it is such a big part of my life, and it needs to be something that he totally gets to.
Allie, you're so smart. And so articulate. I really love it. I love that you recognize that your line that even somebody who needs the weight loss, who we think we could help in a challenge group, we struggle to describe a challenge group to that person, much less the spouse who's not even involved. Mm-hmm. Right? So then dropping him in your group, letting him see it firsthand, and then the brilliance of you adding him to your team page so he can follow along with what you're doing. On that note, so funny, last night I put something up in my team page about meeting up with my diamonds this weekend on a Zoom over a glass of wine. We're going to meet up. And I hadn't mentioned it to my husband, but he's in my team page, and he's always just kind of watching. So before bed last night, he goes, hey, that was a really cool idea about Saturday night. His brother's going to be in town visiting, so I knew he'd have plans. And he's just like, it was really exciting to see how many people want to do that with you.
Aww.
And I was like, oh, that's just awesome that he recognized it, and we chatted about it, and just, having that connection. He doesn't need to be on that Zoom with me with these, but just the fact that he supports it, knows about it. And that's where you're headed, Allie, is like keeping Ron involved in that way. Making him your back office guy, which is funny. So for the diamonds on the Zoom listening and the star diamonds, you remember we talked about your 6 roles as a coach. Not going to get into that on the Zoom right now, but Allie basically is saying to Ron, help me be the CEO of this. help me know the back office, the numbers, the rank changes, the volume, the points, like help me understand and keep track of all that. So you could be the team builder, the team manager, the mentor, the leader, the inviter.
Exactly. He's like a free assistant. I don't even have to pay him. I just cook him supper. It's even better.
That's good for you, mama. Okay. So what was the other kind of game-changing moment, aha moment for Ron in this business? Something else that you guys did together?
The big thing was this summer. Like he's seen I've been doing this. By the summer, I've been doing it for a year and 3 months as an active coach. So he was okay with it, but he agreed to come to Summit. And not only did he come to Summit, he attended every single meeting I went to. He didn't miss a seminar. He went to the workouts with me. He went to the parties with me. He did it all, and he didn't complain. He just sat there and listened and watched. And when he saw Carl Deichler speak at the general session, like that was it. He's like, this guy's for real. Like he really is that guy you always talk about where he's just means it and he wants it. And everybody there was so positive. And I think that was the final straw that might have been left that was hanging on with him. When he saw what Summit was and who Carl really was, that changed things completely. He was all in at that point.
That's amazing. So you had only been an active, working the business kind of coach for a little over a year when he agreed to come to Summit with you. Mm-hmm. That's good because at that point, it's not like you have a ton of huge success to show for it. At this point, you're a diamond level coach, you're making some money, but you're still very much on your journey with this. And he saw that, as you said to me earlier, that this was going to be a family business. This is something you guys needed to, collectively support. That he was able to come with you is pretty awesome. I want to talk to you a little bit more about, I want to go back to your story. So it was interesting to find out why you got involved, how Ron was, kind of what his role in this has been. Let's talk about some emotional transformation that you have experienced as a coach. Who was Allie in college? What kind of relationships did you have with people? And who is Allie now?
I can talk all day, to a big crowd, but when it comes to being with people and having relationships, they were pretty much nil in my life. I had a long-term boyfriend in high school and another one in college, and those relationships were close and more like friendships. They overtook any possibility of a female friendships I had. I was in a sorority. I was with 65 girls, and I still had no close friendships. Like, there was none of them that I wanted to call or talk to or anything like that. So I've never had close relationships with anybody. And even when I got older, even when I graduated and I was working, I found some friendships, but they weren't great. And then I had Anna Lee, and I'm like, I'm surely going to find some mom friends now. This is the money maker. And still I didn't. I was living in a town where everybody came home here that was from here. So they already had their friendships. They had friendships for 20 years already, and they didn't need a new friend. So I was still sort of out there. I didn't know anybody. And I think that those lacks of friendships really damaged my self-esteem. I was like, nobody likes me. Nobody wants to hang out with me. If I do talk in that crowd, they're going to sort of laugh at me. I won't be funny enough. They'll look at me funny. They'll talk about me behind my back. It was just a constant struggle with self-doubt that I wasn't good enough for anybody, really.
Where did that change?
When I started my challenge groups with Greer and I started losing weight and feeling better, I was like, I'm not so bad. I started feeling better about myself. And then when I started leading my first groups, I was still not confident in who I was. I still didn't have close relationships at that point. But I was like, these women need to feel better. And when I was willing to give of myself to others in those groups, even though I didn't think I was ready, that's where it changed. That's when I realized that I am helpful. I can help people. I can enjoy people. People do like me. I'm not so bad after all. And I think that I didn't have confidence before challenge groups. I got my confidence from leading a challenge group. And I think so often coaches have that backwards. They feel like they have to have it all together before a challenge group and be perfect. And that is the furthest thing from true. If I had waited, I might not be running groups today. If I hadn't just dove in there and run a group and learned about myself in that process. You can't be a waiter. You got to be a doer.
That's so brilliant. You have some really great lessons in life that you have learned just in the trenches doing it.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad for, no one wants to hear that someone didn't have deep friendships or didn't have that best friend to call or didn't feel like the other moms wanted her around. But I think what you're finding is so much of that really came from what you're projecting.
It was totally projected. And I think it was completely in my mind. And I don't think if you ask anybody I knew from those years, they would probably never say that. But that's how I felt. And so that's where the problem was. It was within me. And probably no one would say that.
Right. But that's how you felt. And that's what matters. I mean, it's like, it's your story. And it's interesting because you have people have assumptions. And so you would assume this, beautiful girl, valedictorian in a sorority at a huge university, you're basically like Reese Witherspoon. You're like the bomb, So how would everybody not love you? And so it was more just like, did you love you?
Yeah. It's all about self-love. I mean, that's where personal development comes. And I think, some people think you have to read a book for personal development. Sometimes it's really just examining yourself through the course of change and helping other people. And I think that's what I needed. I needed to form relationships. And the conversations that I had with people behind the scenes in a challenge group or my coaches, like that was my personal development because my person was what was missing, like my person inside. And so once I had that cup filled back up, I can't even think of me as that person anymore. Like, it's just insane to think of how sad I was. And, I can't look back at it with regret and say, man, I wish I had those friendships. I can just say, today my life is rocking. Like, I am 30 and I finally feel like myself. Like, it took till my 30th birthday. That was like my big weight loss goal was my 30th birthday. And that day was a changer. I mean, I'm confident. I used to not go to spend the night party because I was afraid people would see me without makeup in the morning. Because I thought I was so not pretty enough. And, it still is, I wouldn't go to a swim party because my hair would be wet and not fixed and I wouldn't have makeup on. And people would think I was ugly. And so there's just, I've got better friendships than I've ever had in my life. I've shared my story with people from my heart so they can really know me instead of just being, the smiling, happy version. They've seen me cry. And I realized that I don't need 10 friends. You can count your friends on one hand. Like that's what matters. And so it just took time, but that's where I've gotten to. And I'm so thankful. I'm fine that it took 30 years as long as I got to that point.
I love your attitude. Do you think that, so you've made a lot of changes in yourself and a lot of this come from the confidence that you've gotten has come from helping others. So we're clear on that. Have your friendships come from this team or your coaches or your challengers?
Oh, yeah. I mean, most definitely. These women in my challenges and some of my coaches, they just taught me so much. I mean, they've taught me that people come from all different walks of life and that people who you think are confident aren't confident and everybody needs something. And you get so deep in those groups when you really build those relationships with challengers. And that really helped me grow to realize I wasn't the only person that felt that way.
That's awesome. It's just funny. I just want you to know, like, so many people really on this team really look up to you, admire you, and like you. And I remember when I contacted some people on the team and said that I was interviewing you, your success partner and friend, Jill, director of Team Rockstar Fit, Amanda Cortez, Danielle Griffin, like they're all just, oh my gosh, we're so excited for Allie. We're so glad you're interviewing Allie. They're like big fans of Allie. And I was like, cool. Like, you've got some friends and fans out there. So you should feel good about that. Let's talk about some other successes here. We've talked about your emotional transformation. We talked about your physical transformation, being in the best shape of your life, going into your third pregnancy. You must be feeling awesome. Let's talk about any financial successes that you've experienced as a coach so far.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I said, I was making $100,000 and I kept spending like that when I wasn't making $100,000. So actually, the month we started with Greer, so it would have been November of 2013, we started Dave Ramsey at my house, who I'm a major Dave Ramsey fan, and anybody who meets me pretty much knows that. I love his principles, and I do all that stuff, and so we follow with that. And so Dave Ramsey's program asks you to snowball your debt. And so by making extra with Beachbody every month, I'm able to help our snowball go even faster and get out of debt. And like goals that I never thought possible. Like I'd hear people on his calls talk about paying off their mortgage in 7 or 8 years. And I said, I know that's possible now. Like I know that we can get this mortgage for this wonderful house gone within the next 8 years. And I know that Beachbody is going to help me get there 100%. And, even for coming to Alpena, like that was what I had to cover. And, all of our expenses from Summit, those are all covered. It's not like it's out of our pocket. Like my Beachbody work and helps pay for all that. I mean, it's a game changer. It's changed my entire future of what I think our household can be financially.
So it's interesting because it's not even just what you're making right now, whether it's a few $100s a week or whatever, it's what you're envisioning that you have the potential of earning in this business.
Correct. That's exactly right. I mean, I always look at it as, if my husband's an accountant, so he sees businesses all the time that open and understand what they make and what they don't make. It's rare that a business opens and just takes off from the very start. Like if you have a brick and mortar and you open a store somewhere. And after all, that my business is, I have control over that, just like a business owner. I'm a business owner of my life, and I can choose how much I make, and I can work harder and make more. And the possibility of that is what's huge. Like I don't have to worry about someone else approving how much I get for a raise, or if my company's profits weren't good enough to give me a raise. It is my decision every day how much I want to make in the future. And that feels good.
Gosh, that sounds good. I love that you say that. I love that coaches are hearing that. I could just listen to you, Allie. So tell me, I'm going to jump ahead to a financial thing that came up when you were up in Alpena, and then we'll talk about how you got to Alpena. We said something at Diamond Day that resonated with you about your earnings and maybe a new goal you have for yourself. Will you tell them what that is?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been talking to Jill forever, and she'd always like, are you ever going to want to, that's my success buddy. And she's like, are you going to want to quit your real job? And I said, no, I'm never going to want to quit my real job. You know, that's crazy. But then while we were up there, Trina was talking about how to figure out when you can quit your job. And she said, as long as your team cycle bonus, you know, you divide that times 52 per week, if that equals your salary, you can quit. And I said, did the math. I said, if I can make $808 a week, I can quit my job. And that's in team cycle bonus. And I said, I can do that. Like that was such a more doable goal. It was broken into a piece that I could understand, because say trying to replace $42,000 did not seem possible. Like, how do I even know? Like, when do I calculate it? I was so lost. But hearing that number, and I calculated $808, and that's my goal. So I want to get it up to that so that I can have quit my job by this point next year. I want to have Adeline and not Adeline. That's my second. When I have my third baby next spring, I hope that after my leave that I'll be making enough and I don't have to go back.
That's a huge goal. And so for the brand new coaches I'm listening, if you don't know what we're talking about with those numbers, don't worry about it. The concept is that your team gets this. Team Rockstar Fit understands how to help you strategize your life. And your team cycle bonus, the bonus you make from Beachbody when you become an Emerald coach or above, is what I think is the money that you can most rely on and count on, because your sales and commissions and challenge groups are going to kind of ebb and flow as a coach. But the team that you're building is really what you should look at as your salary in the business, is your team bonus. So for those of you who haven't heard that concept before, I was sharing that in Alpena, that obviously resonated with Allie. And she's like, okay, if I just earn this in a team cycle bonus every week, that could be, you know, what my salary in the business is. So for those of you out there messaging me right now saying, how do you earn a salary in Beachbody? You just go build your business and you go build a team, and your team cycle bonus kind of becomes like a salary, is what I'm saying. So I love that. So listen, why did you come to Alpena?
Well, after Summit, we spent a ton of money. I mean, Ron and I are both up there. We had our hotel stay, eating. We bought our tickets for Summit next year. I went crazy in the store. And I was like, if I ask Ron to spend this money to go to Alpena, he is going to crap his pants. Like, there's no way he's going to go for this. So then I started looking at it, and I said, I really want to go. Jill kept telling me it's going to be so much fun. And she said, you can fly with me to Flint. I stay at my parents' house, and that'll be a much cheaper flight. And it was like $300 less. I'm like, okay, that isn't an acceptable range to approach Ron. So I took it to him, and he said, okay, you pay for it with what you make, and I'm fine with it. I said, all right, let's do it. So I think I hit like Success Club like 26 in August or something. I was like, we're taking care of this. So you got to have some motivation, and that was the motivation I needed. So, setting a goal is key, and that was my goal, was to make sure I couldn't say anything about what I spent. So then I got back to Alpena, it was end of the month, and he did our end of the month financial summary. And I was able to come out at the end of the month paying for all of Alpena, all my food, parking, stays, anything. Absolutely anything that was classified as Beachbody. I paid for all of that in September with my earnings. Plus, I think I banked like $600 or $800 on top of that. So He was not complaining, to say the least.
I get goosebumps when I hear
But the
stories like yours.
Goal, like I had something I wanted to work towards, and I think that's why the team cycle bonus that I was saying, and to replace my salary, like it was a more realistic,
tangible, yeah.
Have a huge thing that's unattainable or unimaginable. Like you have to set a specific thing. Like I want this at this point. Like we would our challengers. It's so funny to me that we look at our business like with these huge, crazy goals, yet we tell our challengers to look at what's right in front of them. We say, you just need to look at the next 5 or 10 pounds. Don't look at 50 pounds. Yet we don't apply that to our coaching business. So by applying that small goal to my coaching business, that made a big difference.
I mean, absolutely. When your goal was to get yourself to this retreat and just earn the money for it, look at what you created in your business. All the momentum, oh my gosh, there's so much more I want to talk about, but I got to keep it moving. Okay, so what almost prevented you from coming to Alpena?
Well, as you know, I'm pregnant, and I found out I was pregnant on Labor Day this year. It's a big weekend for me. Ran a race, realized I was overweight, realized I was pregnant. So big stuff for me. But about the week before I came, the sickness kicked in. I was thinking I might miss it this time, but third time's a charm still, and I got it again, and I was miserable. Like I was flying out the next Thursday, and I was like, I gotta get feeling better. Well, that Wednesday I was supposed to go to Atlanta for a Dave Ramsey retreat. I paid $100 to go to his seminar in Atlanta, and I love him. I've been waiting for this for months, and I couldn't go. I was too sick. And I said, what am I gonna do? I mean, if I can't even drive to Atlanta, which is an hour away, and sit through a day seminar, how in the heck am I gonna fly to Michigan, 2 flights up there, ride in a car for 3 hours over, sit in meetings all day? It's like, this isn't possible. What am I going to do? I can't miss this. So my friend said there's a new medicine. You can't take Zofran anymore. For all you people who were pregnant like a year ago, no more Zofran to save you from puking at pregnancy. So I don't know what I was going to take, but the new drug I had heard was like $500. Like it was really expensive. And I said, okay, this isn't going to work. So I'm going to call the pharmacy and get it called in. And Ron and I just agreed that if it was under $100 for the prescription, then I could get it and we would see if it worked, and that would be our chance. But we couldn't spend any more to keep it within the budget for what we had planned. I went there and it was only $30. My insurance pulled through. It was only $30. And I popped those 2 pills, and I prayed that when I woke up at 6:30 the next morning to leave for the airport that I would feel okay. And I remember laying in bed and I opened my eyes and I said, I don't want to puke. Like, I feel okay. I can make it. And so I got on that plane. I slept the whole way up there, and I took all my medicines, and all the girls at the meeting knew I had my bag of essential oils. I was sniffing peppermint all week, and I had on my C-bands for motion sickness, but I wanted to be there, and I was going to do whatever it took. As long as I could get my head up to get on that plane, I knew I could always lay down if I had to on the floor in the meeting. I could be there to listen, but at least I could make it there, and that was my key. So it was a tough one. I mean, it was to the morning of leaving that I decided to come, that I was going to be able to come, but it was worth it. I wasn't going to. If I could physically get there, I was going to get there. So, and it was worth it. It was totally worth it. Even if I did eat carbs the whole time and felt terrible, but I made it.
Oh, Allie, you blow all the excuses out of the water. Like it really comes from within you. Like you see something for yourself. You believe in yourself. You're going to make it happen. 99 people out of 100 wouldn't have gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why you're going to be where you're going to be.
Thank you. I hope so. You got to want it. Like if you want it, then make it happen. I mean, it's a choice. Just got to look at yourself and see if you're ready for it. And what do you want? What do you want out of life today, tomorrow, and a year?
And people always say, what are you willing to sacrifice today to have the life you want tomorrow? And I like that quote, but I was thinking, you also got to enjoy what you're doing right now and not just sacrifice. So the thought was like you were sacrificing to make this trip that you wanted to go on so you could have the life that you want tomorrow. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. This whole story, I didn't even know this piece of it when I invited you on the call. I just liked you and liked your energy and felt like I knew people would relate to you, Allie. So let's finish with this. You're so inspiring. And so people want to know, what does just Allie's business look like? Can you just demystify this for us a little bit? Like, what is tell me about how you manage this in your day, working and having 2 girls. So what's your time look like? And then what does your business plan look like? And this is what we'll finish with.
Okay. I work from home, which people think is such a cush thing, but that means you're always on. Like your job, my computer's in my office constantly. I can always hear it ding. It's harder than people think, like, because you've got everything around you. Well, I work 40 hours. I'm a 40 hours full-time worker, but my girls only go to school until 12:30. So I only have 4 hours in the morning when there's nobody here. and that's all I've got to work with. So I still have to get my regular job in, my Beachbody, figure out how to get my girls settled, eat, fix dinner, and all that stuff. So just because I work from home doesn't make it like a cush life. And I think people misinterpret that sometimes. So I had to realize what my big rocks were in life and what was the most important. I didn't need to fill my day with the singing and the little rocks, which would be picking up my kitchen, doing the laundry, making the beds. Those things have to be, I have to realize that some days they're going to get done and some days they're not. And that took a long time for a perfectionist to get over. That was a hard part for me, but I realized that to get to my big goals in life is the big rocks that matter, which is my husband, my children, and Beachbody. Like those are the rocks that had to get taken care of during the day. So I have really worked on making the most of my morning and my nighttime routine. I've done a course by Crystal Payne called Make Over Your Mornings, and I've done it 3 times now because I don't do professional development once. I do everything multiple times because I feel like you get something different at each time you read it. You're a different level. And so I've done that class 3 times, and I've really set up a structure for my night. I set goals with my husband as our goals in general. We have 6 categories of goals, and we each have one in that category, and we shared those so that we could figure out where to put our time. And then he understands why Beachbody is a top focus. So I work in the early morning, I work late at night, and I try to squeeze it in during lunch. But I had to realize that I had to have set work hours or it wasn't going to work. If I had my phone all throughout the day, it would overtake my life. And I couldn't get all of my big rocks, which is my family also included. So I just have to
smart
time and just go with it. And I get what I can done when I can get it done during those times. And I can't be upset if my whole to-do list isn't done. I have to realize that this is life. I have a family, and I have to get what I can done and then move it to the next day and take care of it then. Like I can't live with regret every day or be mad at myself. And I have to remember to put myself first. I sleep. I make sure I get 7 hours of sleep. I try to get off of Beachbody at 9:30 every night. I spend an hour with my husband, and I sleep 7 hours. Because if I don't feel the best, ain't nothing else in my life going to be feeling good. So
many good things right there. So you guys, please recognize Allie works full time and takes care of the household and the 2 kids and makes dinner and their lunches and everything and does Beachbody. And the way that she says she does it, and she seems calm about it, right? But I'm sure on the inside, just like, it can feel overwhelming. But you have minimized, I feel like, the feeling of overwhelming by taking control of your schedule, of your goals, of your life. Bookending morning and evening, having set hours, not, as my favorite term for people to avoid, not chronic coaching, where you're just literally chronically coaching and nothing's ever getting done. I like to explain to coaches that if you have set business hours, that's when you're inviting, following up, mentoring, growing. The little questions you might answer throughout the day to a challenger or to a coach or send a call to somebody, that's just filler. But filler doesn't build a business. So when you're having those set hours, I love that you said you listen to personal development at least 3 times to let it sink in. One of the smartest people in the world that I know, Darren Hardy, said he would rather see someone read the same book 52 times than read 52 books. So I'm sure that you get that. And so I love how much you've taken control of this. So people who are feeling overwhelmed, I don't have time. I want you to think about what Allie just said. She doesn't have more time than you, and she's got a lot on her plate, but she knows what matters, and she's scheduling, and she's still taking care of herself and getting sleep, spending time with her family. What a great example you set.
I think that's a big thing right there, Trina. Like, I think if you are struggling with those time things, like, you need to pick your personal development to work on what you're struggling with most. And if it is finding time, that's where you have to start. No book about leadership or anything is going to help you if you can't work on yourself first and what you need in the moment to be a better coach in person.
And that's why you picked the Make Over Your Mornings. Like, you knew that you just needed time and focus to work on this. Mm-hmm. So let's finish with this, because people are like, I want to be like Allie. What does your business look like? What kind of groups do you run? What kind of coaches do you like to work with? Tell us that.
Yeah. I run a 21-day group every month and then a 4-day group. My 4-day group is a Shakeology group. I send out packets for all my challengers for those groups, and you never repeat my 4 days. And the way I keep it easy is I use the exact same posts and language. Everything is identical in every 4-day I run. So it's no work, no thought, nothing extra for me. All I do is coach those groups. And
people just do them one time. It's a one-time.
one time. You get your one shot in that group, and next time you'll have to roll into one of my longer challenges. But you'll never repeat my 4 days, so it's no problem that my quotes are the same, that my tips are the same. And I had to take the stress off somehow because it's going to overlap with my 21-day usually, and I need it to be as least less stress as possible.
So for you, your 4-day is the way for people to date you as a coach, try out Shakeology, get an entrance into it. They spend $20. You send them the packets with a card, and they get this one shot with you. And then it's this clear expectation. If you want to continue to work with me, great. Here's how you do it. It's a 21-day.
Exactly. And they may not come to the next 21-day, but they will. When they come back, they'll always go into a longer challenge, no matter what. They've already tried Shakeology, they've tried me out, they've gotten their glimpse, and that's all they need. And I don't run 5 days because I don't believe in challenges ending on Friday, because I think people are going to crash on Fridays and cheat, and they won't respond to you on Saturday and Sunday, so their high is gone. So that's why I still go the old school 4-day focus from when I started, because I still they'll end strong during 4 weekdays, and then on Friday, I can pick up with them immediately while they're still on a high before a weekend comes.
That's so smart. Hey, that 4-day focus was like, you know what? It worked.
Yeah, it works.
It works for a lot of people. So coaches out there, we have a 5-day clean that runs Monday through Friday. And we have a 4-day focus. You can use either one. In Allie, for her, it's working to do a 4-day focus. People get one shot at it. And you know what? That's so cool because like you're telling them how to be successful with you. You're saying, this is how you work with me. Sometimes we're afraid to tell people how to work with us. Like, hey, you can work with me. It's a 4-day. It's $20. Do you like it? I'd love to stay connected. Let's get you in a 21-day. Like, I love that you have expectations for people you're working with. Answer this for me. Your 21-day is always a different program. Is it the 21-day fix? What do you do?
You know, I had always done different programs before, but I started with a 21-day fix probably, March or April, and I stuck with a 21-day fix. I used to do 14-day groups because they're, that last week is a tough week on a 21-day. But, I realized the 21-day fix is such an awesome program. It relates to so many people, and that's what I'm just going to hit. And I know I can, go through all 21 days with people.
So are you like consistency and simplicity in your business so you can wash, rinse, repeat, and just keep going?
Yeah, I have to. Like, if you want to go forward, you've got to figure out some way to do that. I use SenseShare to pre-program all my motivation and tips. So I don't have to go in there at morning and, certain times during the day to post. I don't have to go in there and coach. So I pre-program all my stuff to pop in my group.
What was I didn't hear what you used.
I use SenseShare. I think Ashley Mahaffey shared that before.
SenseShare. Okay.
Yeah, because you don't have to save pictures to your computer. You can copy the URL from a motivation quote without having to save to your desktop and then upload it back. And so all that stuff is preloaded. My daily questions are preloaded. They just pop out for the 21 days.
That's awesome.
It was a choice. I could either let challenge groups bring me down, or I could let them help my business go forward. Because they'll let new coaches let challenges bring them down because it's so much work. They're always on there. They're always trying to do this. You just have to realize that people just need something.
Yeah.
They just need you and a little bit of something.
And where have your coaches come from? I thought this was really interesting that you run your 4 days, you're on your 21 days. Where are your coaches coming from?
They come from my challenges. And what is so crazy when I look at my group of coaches, there is not a single coach of mine that was a close friend. And actually, most of them were references to my group by current challengers. And they became my coaches. I had never even met some of my coaches when they signed up. Most of them, probably over half of them I had never even met before. And they were referred to my groups by somebody else.
That's awesome because, people have this expectation that that you have to have this huge list and you got to know all these people. And you're like, you just kind of went to the people. I assume, your initial challengers were people that you knew, moms that you'd met. And then you asked them to refer people to your groups, right? You're pretty strategic about that.
Yeah, I did a buddy challenge at the very beginning, and you had to bring a friend on, and you split a box of Shakeology. So it was a 12-day group. It was a buddy challenge. If you want a box of Shakeology, find a friend, and y'all split the cost and buy the box. And that was a great way for a new person to find new people, especially if you're afraid to put yourself out there too much yet. That did have to work for you.
That's awesome. So a lot of your coaches, who do you like to work with?
It's taken a while. When you first start coaching, you just want anybody to coach that's willing to coach with you. And at this point, I've realized I need people who want it like I want it, because I'm going to put so much of my heart into you that I need you to be willing to give yours back to me. So I'm looking for moms, people who want to change their lives. really people who are financially conscious. Dave Ramsey's a huge part of our life. So people who get what rice and beans and rice are, that's big for me. That's sort of kind of what I'm going for. People who are me. That's what I need. That I can relate to and talk to and gab about and cry with when we need to. And that's what I need.
I love it. And I think that just recognizing that the people like you that you're finding to work with aren't necessarily the people raising their hand saying, hey, Allie, I want to be a huge business builder. But they're raising their hand and saying, hey, Allie, I kind of want to help take control of my family's finances. I want to be happy like you are. Show me the way.
Yeah. And that's what I look for more than others. Like when I look at my challenge group, some people ask their whole challenge groups to be coaches, and that's fine. But for me, I realize that's not where I'm at. I'd rather have fewer coaches that want it like I want it rather than boo-koodles of coaches just for the discount. Like that's not what I want to fill my page and to fill my downline. That's not me.
Although keep in mind that you joined for the discount.
I agree. I do take on discounts with people who I think have potential. So
that's what I'm like. I knew you were going to clarify that because I know that it's the person you're looking for. And if the person's willing to join you for a discount and you can believe them to success as other people have, for you.
But like if I had like a guy in my group that had no kids, I would probably not offer him the discount. Because he isn't somebody I would see potential as a future coach with me in. That's the way I do it different. Like you still need to have customers. And I think people think everyone should become a coach, but you need to have customers. It's a business.
Yeah. And I love that you're selecting. This is somebody that I'd click with, that I'd want to cry with and share with and laugh with. And that's how you're deciding who you want to invite on your team, whether or not what their financial goals are initially or not, you'll get there. Yeah. But it's the person, it's the personality. And I love it. Allie, you have such a great story. You totally nailed this. If there's one piece of advice you want to give to the coach out there who, hasn't felt success yet, who is either discouraged or frustrated or lost, what would you say to a coach listening tonight?
First of all, it's normal. We all feel discouraged. I mean, I've even heard Trina say that. We all have a tough time. It's not all going to be perfect, but life isn't perfect. And you have to realize that this is a business and it's going to have its ups and downs. But as long as you stay steady and believe in yourself, then that will make it all happen because you are what you're selling. You're not selling Beachbody. You're not selling T25. You're not selling Shakeology. You're selling you and the ability to help someone change their life. And you have to realize that that's the product that you're giving to other people.
You are going to be speaking on a big stage someday, girl. I see it for you. You shine. Coaches, this has been amazing. I hope you loved it like I did. And I will see you right here in the event page. Trivia and fun prizes start right now.